I'm Damien from AtHope, and I'm an Axiological Atheist. And most people probably have never heard of that. And you can look it up under philosophy, and it's an argument for atheism. It's considered to be an anthropomorphic argument, in other words, human-centered argument, meaning that humans are the greatest thing. That means that they are better than gods, they are better than animals. So it's almost like a pronouncement of humanism towards atheism. And basically, it's using what's called value theory. You can look that up also. And axiology is also considered to be a term that's used for ethics in general. It is that how you achieve ethics is because you value something first. Once something has value, then you have a reason to have its worth cared for or not cared for. But anyway, so it basically it's a way of using values to devalue the concepts of religion and God, and then to value the concepts of human worth, dignity, and human flourishing. And so it's extreme atheism and extreme humanism at the same time. So it's very kind of unique. I call myself an axiological atheist. Most people probably use a part of it, and almost no one uses it as I do, as an actual position that they hold. But it fits me so well that I just say that, and also I want to promote people to understand when they say, I believe in good, that is an axiological argument, because the concept of how something is good is axiology, whether you know it or not. You can look it up, because axiology actually means worth or good. And it means worth or good science, it means. Because logos is science. Axiology or axiological, it just means worth or good science. And formal axiology, which is mainly what an axiologist atheist like me would use, is actually a social science that's been validated empirically. It's one of the only ethical systems or standards that's been empirically proven. So when someone says that science can prove virality, well, in a sense, it already has. It's called formal axiology, and you can go look that up. Anyway, so I'll tell you how I got to that also relates to why I'm an atheist in general. I was a devout believer until 36 years of my life. I had a very abusive and hard childhood, and because of that, I became a drug addict. And I was sober for 18 years, and I decided, I was a truck driver, and I decided I'm going to go help other people. I want to use my ability to be sober and help other people. And I was a good do-gooder Christian. So I go to college, and they told me I had to take 2 classes on religion, because in the addictions therapy, almost everybody, AA, is all about higher powers, God, something. I mean, it's so inundated with spirituality and religion, and more than any other medical or psychology domain. And so they told us we had to go. I was such a Christian that I had never even thought of other religions. If you asked me a name, 5 religions, I couldn't even have done it. Let alone that in the class they made us take 10. I didn't even know there was 10 religions. I was extremely ignorant. So, but that's what the funny thing is. A lot of people that are religious are extremely ignorant, even of their own religion, which is a lot of times the problem why they can keep believing. But it really shocked me was to see. We took the 10 religions, 1 class each week, and to really have to study, and to get tests for the class, and to do each 10 religions. Hey, so being videotaped. So being able to I would never would have read religions, but being able to study the religions one at a time, each for 10 weeks, a different religion. All of a sudden, I started realizing they all kind of have the same message. They're right. You are wrong unless you have them. That they're going to help you make a better to the afterlife, or in Buddhism case would be to stop rebirth or stop reincarnation. But it's the same difference. It's affecting how you are afterlife. And but they all say that their morality system is basically the one to follow. It is all this similar stuff, and I'm like, this is all bullshit. This is really all bullshit. So first time I started doubting. And also, one of the key things outside of religious classes that I learned in biology that everyone starts out as a female, that female is the default position for human, that it takes only an X to make a female, and everybody has an X. And that actually, to be a male, it takes 3 processes to remove female. One is to de-feminize. The second, androgens. And then the second is masculizing androgens. And then the third is testosterone. This blew me away. What do you mean? Then almost there, I started really questioning the Bible, because the Bible says that man's first, and women is some kind of an add-on. But this science is saying, no, woman is first. In fact, man is almost a reincarnated woman, not the other way around. So man comes from woman, not just birth-wise, but actually genetically. And that was really profound for me. And then they told me I had to take a class on the Bible. I thought, finally, here's a class, because college is hard. Find a class, I'm going to ace. I've been a Christian for 36 years. I read the Bible twice. I read the King James, the NIV. I know this shit. I went to church like 3 times a week. I'm going to ace this. It was the hardest freaking class I ever taken, because it was the one class that I knew nothing about. Welcome to Here's the Bible. Basically, but what they showed me was all kinds of things that are not in the Bible. Archaeology. That's why it inspired me to write my book. Archaeology and history and how this relates to that. It started off with just all kinds of wild things like, did you know that Exodus is actually the first book of the Bible? Genesis was written after that. I mean, I was like, what? I mean, it was like someone was lying to me. It was so hard to take. And they're like, oh, well, did you know it was written, and they know for a fact Exodus was written after Moses. He was dead. In fact, if you read it, it says Moses was a great person in that time or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it clearly says it's not. So how can it be the 5 books of Moses? The other thing was that it's written in, they told me, all these facts. It's written in what's called Paleo-Hebrew. It's written in Paleo-Hebrew, which actually is Proto-Canaanite or Proto-Phoenician, which is basically means it's not even Hebrew. So they're basically using the Canaanite people that they supposedly killed, their actual language. So, and then more important to that is the Canaanites believed in God El and God Baal. Well, it's so funny that the Hebrew God in Exodus is God El. And they call it actually El Shaddai. And I learned that too. El Shaddai is actually a female name. It means the breasted one. Or it usually means almost like the Grand Tetons. It means mountains that are breasts. Or mountains of milk. Anyways, it clearly is a feminine thing. And actually they told me too, is in there it says that was the original name of God. I can't remember what verse it is, but it says that that's the one that all the before Moses, all the people believed. Then later, you have the God Yahweh. Anyway, so, and all that stuff was like, I thought it was drowning. I mean, it's like, I'm so sure, and they start saying all these things, and I'm like, whoa, you're drunk and the room is spinning. And then they really got me, which totally turned me atheist. We got to halfway to the book, and they explained that the devil, Lucifer, Satan, and the serpent, not one of them is the same person. And not one of them is a supernatural being. And they told me that, I could explain it, it takes a little longer, but I'll just explain the serpent real quick. In Genesis, I think it's 3:2, it says that the serpent is the most crafty of the animals created in the garden. Clearly, that means it's not a supernatural being. It's not a fallen anything. It's an actual animal. And thus, it cannot be the devil. You'd have to maybe say it's possessed by the devil, but it is not the devil. So it's completely, and it's right there. I read it. I'm reading it going, I feel like I never read the Bible. It was like, I'm like reading this going, I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, did you know this? And she's like, well, I still believe. I go, it says it right there. I mean, it's not like a matter of us believing or misinterpret. It says animal. And there's a whole bunch of things that I could explain. I'm not going to go into all of them, but it's so much that hit me so hard. Satan, the devil, all this, it's just not true. And it just, I turned like hot, like emotions just hit me, and I was like, this is all a lie. I've been living my entire life as a lie, and I just stopped believing right there. 100% atheist. I really, because like I said, I already had done some other religions, and I did the Christian, and this is all lie. Religion is just a bunch of bullshit. It's good. And I've been lied to my entire life, and the only reason I believe is because I didn't know anything. And it just hit me so profound. It's so funny, people go, oh, well, did atheists influence you? I didn't even know an atheist. I never read an atheist book. In fact, the book that was a college book about the Bible, it wasn't even an atheist book. It was supposed to make you understand the Bible more. What it really did was make you understand the Bible all right. The Bible's bullshit. So, it wasn't like I was angry. It wasn't like I decided, I want to be an atheist or something. I want to live my life my own way. No, I read the facts, and it hit me profoundly that this is actually false. Completely false. But it was really hard for me, though, to go from that point. When I hit the atheist movement, everybody knew things I didn't know. They're like, oh, have you heard Richard Dawkins? I'm like, who? I'm like, oh, Christopher Hitchens, isn't he great? I'm like, never heard of the guy. Like, you talk kind of like him. I'm like, I don't know who the hell that is. And so it was very uncomfortable for my first, probably, I would say 2 years. It was pretty uncomfortable. I didn't really like atheists. I thought they're all assholes and all this stuff. They tell me I have to do this or believe this. Why should I believe them? Hell, everyone's been telling me my whole life what to believe. So that's when I really started doing my book. And I realized, I don't really trust you guys. How can I? I've been lied to my whole damn life. I'm supposed to trust you now? Did you say? So I said, I want to know. I want proof. I want proof. When did religion start? Why did it start? How do we know there's a God or not? What does really science say? And I started to come up with some answers that matched atheists and some that don't. Atheists have common statements that I found to be actually not valid. A lot of atheists say anything is possible. That's actually not true. That is actually a fallacy. Everything is not possible. That statement is absolutely ridiculous. And then they say science proves nothing. No, science doesn't prove theories. Science does prove facts. In other words, this is the third planet from the sun. That is not a guess. That is a fact. The Earth is spinning. This is not a guess. This is a proven fact. There are stars in the universe. There's other solar systems. There's other planets. These are not guesses. These are facts. And so I realized that some of the statements that are said are too globalized and untrue, to the point that they're actually, what you're saying is not matching the facts. And so I really wanted to, and like people say, you can't prove a negative. Well, you know what's so funny? Not one logician believes that. Non-logicians, people talking like they know what they're talking about, that are lame persons, they say that. The people that are philosophy, they do not say that. Just like a lot of people say, well, skepticism, we have to be always doubting. Science can't be sure of anything. But see, what you're really saying is that philosophy trumps science. You're saying that the greatest thing is philosophy, not science. That philosophy is better. Your mind, your thinking, your possibilities are better than proven facts. That bothers me greatly. I like philosophy, but philosophy is a tool to prove the facts that science validates. To say it is the other way around, to me, is abhorrent. But let's talk to the philosophers. If you look at philosophy and you ask how many, right? They had a study they did of 1,500 professional college professors that are philosophers in all kinds of different philosophies, and asked them how many of them believe in skepticism. It's 4.8% that they doubt the possibility of the world's real. So the majority, almost 95-point-something%, 0.2, whatever, believe that natural reality, we have the valid reason to believe natural reality. So for us to say that we have to still hold doubt is not really valid. I mean, really, if you have 95% of people that understand the philosophy all saying that we should be trusting, and they're the professionals, for me, it doesn't make sense. Or we're just not using any facts at all. anyways, I don't want to do, but my book I address, the reason that is not really for me to go against atheism, it's just that we should feel confident, and we have the reason to feel confident there is no God, and that science is real, that reality is real, that there's no ghosts, there's no afterlife. These are all things that we know to be true. And this is another thing, too, is that people say that you can't be certain of anything. Although, that is a fallacy because you just said something that you're certain of. You're certain you can't be certain. You contradict, logically, your own statement. Another thing, too, is that what people should do, instead of making bold statements like this, or reading someone's blog, go and look at what philosophy says. The Stanford University says there's not one type of certainty. There's actually several types. And that's why I tell people, and I do understand what the certainty is in the philosophy world, I say I am psychologically certain there is no God, because of epistemic certainty of the natural reality of the world. So one is built on the other. And so a lot of people, though, the problem is they think certainty means incredulity, inability to change upon facts. That's what religious people do. They believe regardless of facts, where epistemic even certainty, which is what I said, the natural world is validated by science, they use without knowing it, they're using epistemic certainty. Okay, that is a position that always can change upon new facts. It's a statement, you know this to be true until you've been proven that it's untrue, and you should then go to what's now true. So, it's really helped me, anyways, my book is called The Tree of Lies and Its Hidden Roots, Exposing the Evolution of Religion and Removing the Rationale of Faith. So, how's that for an English?
Yeah. So